The cure for loneliness is not company. It's not. Like, you could be happy and alone, and you could also be in a crowd and alone. You could be single and happy, and you could be married and more lonely than you have ever been in your life, because the cure for loneliness is not company, it's calling. Many times loneliness shows up when the reason of our birth has been undiscovered. And so we end up mislabeling it. Loneliness many times is the lack of a call being answered, that lack of fulfillment. You feel it watching this video. I'm talking to somebody. The lack of fulfillment, that tension in your soul, that gnawing in your soul that you can't shake. It's like your inward alarm that keeps blaring this siren. Why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? Loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. Loneliness is not just the absence of people. It is the absence of purpose, which is the absence of meaning. Jesus sought out solitude to be refueled because purpose requires for you to pour. So when you seek out solitude because you're in purpose, being alone is rejuvenating. I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, what am I pouring out? Am I pouring out my peace? Am I pouring out my time? Am I pouring out my joy? Am I pouring out my heart to somebody who's draining? Like, they're draining, and there has to come a time when we ask ourselves, okay, how long are we going to continue to blame them for draining us when it's us who keeps giving them the straw? When it's purpose, being alone is rejuvenating. When it's not, being alone is aggravating. Loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. When you're alone, you have learned how to play your solo. When you're lonely, I don't even want to play my solo because I want to do it.
I'm so excited. I finally get to share with you everything that occurred that got me from where I was in my fog, in my death brain, to where I am today. And we're going to get through everything. And I have so much jam-packed in this video, but don't worry. From here to the end, I'm going to break things down. It's going to come together. But this week just happened to be a huge week where so much happened. So let's get right into it. The next day, when I woke up in the fog, you all heard the message. I had not remembered the last time someone said they were happy in my life, or that I meant something to them, something of value, not just, oh, you matter, or you have so much to live for. I mean, those are just the vague, worst things you could tell somebody who's suicidal. The craziest thing happened. I remembered this message.
Good morning, Eileen. As always, you know I'd be having a great time with you also. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be saying that. Nah, but I always have a great time with you also. I'm glad you're my girl. Yo, that song. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds weird. Like, and not in a bad way. Not in a bad way at all. But, yeah. Glad you're my girl. I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm glad that I'm in a relationship with you.
And then I thought to myself, oh my gosh, how many times, how many actions, how many things did I miss because I didn't remember any of them? And I knew they happened because I had a journal that I used to keep a log of every time he would even give me a compliment. Anytime we would hang out or do anything, I kept it all in a journal. But for some reason, my brain, it just wasn't matching up what was happening in my life, connecting to what somebody was telling me. It wasn't connecting. That's the best way that I can describe it. And so in my head, I felt no value at that time. Remembering that message and hearing that message, it clicked in my brain. There might have been so many other times that he might have said something, or other people too, that I might have missed in my life. So then I started going back and thinking about it. And sure enough, everything that I was missing, that I felt no one had placed any value on my life for me to even stick around to be needed for anybody, or for me to be around and have any purpose. And it was kind of like in the movie reels when the scenes start coming through faster, 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 faster. That's exactly what happened to me in that moment. And I went to the gym. This lady that I knew from church rolled into the gym at 5:30 in the morning. And I immediately started laughing to myself. And I said, okay, God, I see you. Because I asked for me to remember, and I remembered. And I asked you to send me somebody, and then you sent me somebody. I asked my ex to pray for it, but same difference. I knew in that moment, okay, maybe God is finally getting up out of his holy bum to come and help me out here. Because if you're a Christian, you know, God takes forever to do anything for the most part. Hence 37 years of this and me not knowing what the heck to do and me praying about it and talking about it and trying to figure out my purpose and nothing happening. All of a sudden, boop, in the morning, twice in a row, within an hour, happening to each other. And of course, in true Christian Jesus-y fashion, we got to talking. So I go home and I'm thinking, wow, okay, I got these 2 answered prayers. What am I going to do now? I wrote myself a prayer. Mind you, I stopped going to church for so many good reasons. And I stopped praying for myself because I was so angry at God. The last prayers that I had prayed to God was in my fog when I said, you need to do something. I said, you need to do something. I am your daughter. You're supposed to do something. You're God. Fix it. That was my prayer because that was the best I could do. So when I finally got to that point where I said, I'm going to write a prayer for me. I don't know what to do. I felt completely numb that entire week. I felt numb. I felt nervous. I had like goosebumps like all week long. It was very uncomfortable. It wasn't like in a good way. It was in a very nervous, high anxiety, like, okay, I'm not going to kill myself. Okay, it's off the table. Okay, God clearly answered those 2 prayers, which meant something was coming and I didn't know what and I didn't know how, but I knew I had to figure it out. So I wrote this prayer to myself and it says, starting now, let me wake up with awesome, reassuring thoughts and feelings of Jesus. Let me feel safe to be alone with my thoughts. Let it be so Jesus is enough for me. Let it be so that I rarely think about future relationships or past remorse. Let me settle into you bringing and restoring my life. Make it so the devil cannot lay a hand on me for decades so I can focus in ease on reflecting the nature of God and receiving life more abundantly. After I wrote that prayer, and if you are a Christian, I'm gonna probably nod my head yes, because you're probably gonna understand exactly what happened when I say this. I mysteriously came under a fog that lasted a few hours, about 3 hours. It was bizarre because I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was feeling good that, okay, God answered 2 prayers. I remembered somebody valuing me. I went to the gym and I recognized somebody that I knew that I could trust, that could be able to pray for me and that it would mean something. And then I come home and I go to start work. And all of a sudden I'm in this really crazy, hectic fog. And it wasn't like, oh, let me go kill myself fog. It was just like this really big, daunting burden on my shoulders. And I didn't know why I was feeling this way if I had a good morning. Granted, this was out after that agony prayer that you guys heard a couple times. I said to myself, why am I going through this? And I called my friend and I spoke to him for about an hour. I had to call out of work for 2 hours and step away from everything that was going on. I remember calling my ex, this is when we were still friends. But after that phone call with him, mind you, I didn't get to tell him about that morning or what happened. I told myself, Eileen, you need to never bring this subject matter up to him again. All of this trauma, all of this suicide, negativity, Debbie Downer, you can't bring to this guy anymore. You need to separate the 2 now. If he's gonna be a friend, he needs to be a separate friend. And you need to go through your stuff by yourself and figure it out. So I said, okay. The fog went away. I got out my bed. I clocked back into work. I finished my day. I realized it was time for me to put in the work and for me to finally unravel my suicide. And that's exactly what I did. I said, how am I going to transfer my negative thoughts to positive thoughts? Then I wrote down what lies have been spoken in my life that need to be canceled out. That was a big one. I also remember being with him at a car dealership where he said, Eileen, you're such an asset in a very contributory kind of way. And I was thrilled because it wasn't maybe but 2 years prior where someone said to me, you're not an asset, Eileen, you're a liability. So I decided I needed to think out these things, think out these lies that have been spoken in my life. And I need to think of someone or a time in my life that canceled out that lie. Then I also needed to think of, in my own brain, why I know that that is a lie. I know I'm an asset, whether or not my ex would have told me I'm an asset. The fact that he did say it was a wonderful thing. I was working on this documentary. I watched this clip, and this man was talking about a documentary. But whoever this guy is had no idea that this applied to my life coming out of suicide. I came across this video.
How do you get to a stronger yes in your life? The first thing I've had to do is write down who I believe I am as a creative, as a filmmaker. Someone once recently said to me, you won't know where you're going unless you know where you are. And so I got out my journal and I write down in one sentence, and I only can say and once because I don't want to go on in a run-on sentence. I write down in one sentence who I am or what I'm trying to accomplish. So in the case of this year, I'm a documentary filmmaker telling cinematic stories about unknown individuals facing existential challenges in their lives. Now, that might just sound like a bunch of theoretical mumbo jumbo, but it's actually been really helpful for me having that. For one, telling myself I'm a documentary filmmaker. So I have to stop and ask myself, am I doing documentary filmmaking? And then every word in this actually matters to me. I'm a documentary filmmaker making cinematic stories. Creating beauty is really important for me. If you've seen my films, the cinematography is a very important part of them and is integral to the story. But then here's what really matters. I started off doing humanitarian work. That's how I got into filmmaking. So I've always wanted to meld that passion into my filmmaking. So for me, I want to talk about unknown individuals, people we've never seen before. What I mean by that is unsung heroes. Or if I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish, then when the next client comes along or the next person who says, hey, do you want to go away for a few months and do this? If it doesn't align with the passion, with the goal I'm trying to do, it can help me determine if I want to say yes or no to this. But you need to know who you are before you can decide where you're going. And this might be overwhelming. It's okay, write anything down that you feel you're passionate or aligns with you. One way to get to this answer of where you're going is to do a stop, start, and continue list. And what that is you're gonna say what you wanna start doing that year or that block of time, what you're gonna stop doing, which is inhibiting you from doing that, and what you wanna continue to do, the habits or the tasks you're doing that are helping you achieve that goal. There is way more to life than the work you're doing. But I find for me, if my passions aren't aligning with the work I'm doing, if I'm not passionate about what I'm creating, which is why I come back to that phrase, I'm a documentary filmmaker creating cinematic stories about individuals, unknown individuals.
So I thought to myself, what's my statement? And since I don't know what the end result is going to be, let me write something that's going to be what I felt in that moment, the best that I could do. So this is the actual board that I wrote on. And I left it up here on purpose because I knew I was going to want to show it. How do I transfer my thoughts from negative to a positive? What lies have been spoken over my life that need to be canceled out? What is my statement? And in the same videos that this man made, he said, when you're doing a documentary, yes, you're going to plan everything out, but you need to be free to just see what happens. And you need to allow the chaos to happen so you can take the good out of the chaos and something great might come out of it that you never even expected. So he had said, chaos is coming, expect it. And I said to myself, well, if I'm trying to come out of suicidal thoughts, I'm going to have to expect chaos too. So I had wrote it on my board, chaos is coming, expect it. And it makes a difference because when you know the bad feelings are going to come, it's a lot easier to deal with and it's a lot easier to manage. I am my best self thinking about how cool God is first thing in the morning. That was important to me because when I woke up first thing in the morning, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't thinking about how or I did this to myself or thinking of all the regrets or what I don't have. I am my best self thinking about how cool God is first thing in the morning, producing a self-made documentary to share my experience with the world. Simple enough. When that man said, if you are not doing what is in that statement, you're off track. I put on this episode of Friends and I recalled this moment.
Did you think about the trail? What trail? The trail from the woman you did it with to the woman you hope never finds out you did it. You always have to think about the trail. I don't think there's any trail.
Okay. Chloe works with that guy Isaac. Isaac's sister is Jasmine. And Jasmine works at the massage place with Phoebe. And Phoebe's friends with Rachel, and that's the trail. I did it.
I thought about the trail from Friends. And I said, what's my trail? So I figured out my trail. And I had the aha moment of my life. I wanted to end my life because I felt insignificant and useless. Because I had no value on my life. And because the things that I thought would be the fastest way to always have value and guaranteed value, which was being married and having kids and building my own family, would give me purpose in the morning to wake up every day and want to live. And ever since that day, I have been 100% fine going to sleep alone, waking up alone. I do not feel like I'm missing out on something great in life. Oh, I'm 37 and I don't have kids. Or I'm 37 and these guys don't stick around. Now I know my trail. So now how do I fix it? I need to add value in my life and I need to add some purpose to my life. Now that I've unraveled my suicidal issues, now I can work on resolving the problems that are causing those issues. The biggest struggles that I was having at that time, I was going through a major breakup. I had no purpose and no value. All things that can be fixed. So I went online and I started Googling how to deal with a breakup. Let's start with that first because I felt like that would be the easiest thing to do is to get over a guy that isn't there. So I went on YouTube. Now this was a game changer because when I went to find how to move on from a breakup and how to write an apology letter, I found Love Advice TV and I came across Coach Danny. Hi, Danny. I've had so much abandonment issues, loss issues, grief issues, losing so many people in my life, people leaving me, people dying, animals dying. So I'm listening to this video from Coach Danny and I hear him say this.
And one thing that I want to, recommend and advise, because a lot of people have a tendency of saying to me, my partner abandoned me. Realistically speaking, as an adult, you cannot be abandoned. You can abandon a child because a child requires you for their survival. But as an adult, you cannot be abandoned. It's possible that your partner neglected you. It's possible that your partner isn't giving you the attention that you require. But abandonment would be a stretch to say, right? So it's also really about kind of rephrasing the way that you say things in your mind and how you communicate them. I digress.
Game changer. I couldn't believe it that this whole time I've been saying I have abandonment issues, but I don't have an abandonment issue. I'm a grown woman. I pay my own bills. I take care of myself. Grown adults do not have abandonment issues. You may have been left. You may have been broken up with. Someone may have left you behind. Someone may decided they don't want to be with you anymore, but you're a grown person who takes care of yourself. You are self-sufficient. You feed yourself, you clothe yourself, you bathe yourself, you do all your ADLs yourself. You are not abandoned. I wasn't abandoned. I may have been left, but I was not abandoned. And now that was something I was able to take that weight off my shoulders. Done. Now we have took suicide off the table. Now we have, how do I transfer my negative thoughts to positive? How do I cancel out the lies that have been spoken out in my life? What took me from the point of wanting to live to wanting to die to wanting to live? Now we have, what do I need to work on? And now we're here where, okay, abandonment issues out the door, fixed, resolved. They go through a host of different subject matters. So for me, once I heard him say, blah, 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 breakup recovery, I knew I need to learn about breakup recovery. And that's when I found where they said, you need to start adding value to yourself. Okay, so I'm a classic car and I need to rebuild myself. Classic cars are worth a lot. They're old cars, they're rebuilt, they're worth a lot. They're not just some hunk of junk anymore. I'm going to make me into a very expensive classic car. And that is what I told myself. Another aha moment I had was that I need to focus on me as being the cake. It's a big cake because I'm a big girl. Everything inside my cake is for me, by me, made for me, only everything that I can control. Everybody else, it's all icing. If I have a boyfriend, he's icing. If I have a husband or kids, that's icing. My family, my friends, church, hobbies, interests, activities, job, everything outside of what I can control, that's all icing. Those are all awesome things that can enhance my life and make it better. But overall, my cake, people can eat cake by itself and it tastes delicious. Nobody wants to eat a whole spoonful of icing because that's disgusting. So I needed to realize, all right, I need to work on my cake. Everything else is icing. My focus was adding value to myself, which value equals skills. Boxing was a skill. Learning how to make a documentary, that was going to be another skill. Yes, I understand my videos are cringe, but just roll with me on this for a little bit. Making sure that you enhance your ADLs by not just doing them, but taking care of yourself in a way that's going to promote progression in your life. I need to figure out two things: the fastest way to add value and to fill my schedule to the minute, which was another advice from Love Advice TV. Filling my schedule to the minute because you cannot give yourself time to think about negative thoughts. You're going to hear a lot of people say, focus on what makes you happy. That's total bullcrap, okay? Don't focus what all makes you happy. Because if you could focus on what makes you happy and you just did things that made you happy, you would have been doing them a long time ago. So when people say this bullcrap to you, just and then you keep it moving. The fastest way to add value to oneself is to only do things that you are proud of 100% of the time. When you wake up in the morning and you go brush your teeth, you're happy to tell somebody, yeah, I brushed my teeth that morning. And if you didn't brush your teeth, you wouldn't be so proud to tell somebody, I forgot to brush my teeth this morning. When you wake up in the morning and you go to the gym, you're going to be proud to tell people, oh, I went to the gym this morning. And if you didn't go to the gym, you don't feel good about it, you don't have no energy, your blood's not rushing to give you energy throughout the day, you're not going to be proud about that. Going to the gym in the morning is extremely essential coming out of this process. Anything that you are not proud to tell somebody about, if you smoke, if you do drugs, and you're not proud to say, yes, I'm proud I do drugs, then don't do it anymore. If you drink and you're not a proud person to say, yes, I drink, I'm proud that I drink, then don't drink anymore. If you are a dumpster diver and you're not proud to tell people, yeah, I dumpster dive, I'm proud to be a dumpster diver, then don't dumpster dive anymore. Whatever your thing is that you are not proud of, release it and find something to do that actually makes you feel proud of yourself. And if you do that all day long, when you are filling your schedule to the minute, you will be constantly adding value to yourself. And if I can do this every single day for the rest of my life, that would be dope.com. This is my goal right now. This is where the magic is going to happen. So yes, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of information, but now I know that it's possible to never have to worry about suicidal thoughts, never have to worry about suicidal fog, knowing that there is a path to come out of it that doesn't require me taking drugs, that doesn't require me having to pay co-pays endlessly for the rest of my life. Now I know that there are things that I can take care of myself and I can teach myself and I can resolve myself. And it only takes yourself to fix yourself. You don't need anybody else to do it. So there's a lot to be said when you're working on yourself and you are investigating your feelings and you are investing time and effort and work into solving your own internal mysteries. And that's what I did. When I first thought about making this documentary, it was going to be about what it's like to live with suicidal thoughts. I did not know that it was going to be about how I came out of suicidal thoughts. That I did not know. That I did not know until this week happened. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to this video. Make sure you share this video with anybody who is dealing with depression or anxiety or suicidal fog. There are so many gold nuggets. All of the resources are going to be in the description. Make sure that you watch episode 8. I have so many more nuggets to share with you. I have so many more happy things to share with you. I have so much more life to share with you guys. So you cannot disappear now. Now you've already started the story with me and you got to stay to the end. Next episode is going to be called 180 and you want to watch it. Then we have 9 weeks coming up. Our last episode together is going to be 10 cows and I can't wait to show you.
Strong.